The silence from the mainstream financial networks is deafening, and that in itself should be your first and biggest clue that something monumental is brewing in the shadows of the global economy. Something they are either unwilling or unprepared to talk about. But what Frank26 has just revealed isn't just another piece of dinar gossip. It's a seismic shockwave that fundamentally redefines the entire playing field for Iraq and for every single investor holding the Iraqi dinar. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. The dinar community has been fed a steady diet of hope and speculation for years, with dates coming and going like forgotten headlines. But this is different. This feels different because the pieces on the chessboard are no longer static. They are moving with a purpose and a coordination we haven't witnessed in over a decade. And Frank26's latest intel points directly to a rate that is so audacious, so far beyond the conservative whispers of a few cents, that it forces you to completely rethink what is possible. He isn't talking about a simple peg to the dollar or a minor adjustment to make accounting easier. The discussion has explosively shifted to a full-scale revaluation that would position the IQD not as a recovering currency, but as a premier global store of value, a powerhouse in its own right. And the number being discussed internally, the number that is causing such a frantic, hushed frenzy among the banking elites in Iraq and their international partners, is a rate that begins not with zeros after the decimal, but with whole numbers that mirror the strength of nations with far less oil and economic potential. Think about the sheer implication of that for just 1 second. A rate that would instantly transform the Iraqi dinar from a speculative asset into one of the strongest currencies on the planet overnight. And the reason this isn't hitting the Bloomberg terminals or CNBC tickers yet is because this isn't just an economic event. It's a geopolitical masterstroke designed to be executed with maximum impact and minimal prior warning. The Central Bank of Iraq's strategy has been brilliantly misrepresented as slow and bureaucratic. In reality, it has been a deliberate, multi-year campaign of financial engineering, quietly building a fortress of foreign reserves that now towers well over $100 billion. A war chest that provides more than enough cover to support a robust, strong currency that reflects the true wealth of the nation, not its war-torn past. Combine that with Iraq consistently pumping over 4 million barrels of oil per day, with every barrel sold adding more hard currency to that fortress, and you start to see a picture of an economy that isn't just recovering but is preparing for a grand unveiling. The true twist, the part that most analysts completely miss as they focus solely on spreadsheets, is that this revaluation is not an isolated monetary policy. It is the central linchpin component of a much larger, more ambitious vision for Iraq to completely bypass the petrodollar system and establish itself as the dominant financial hub for the entire Middle East, rivaling even the UAE and Saudi Arabia. This is about sovereignty, about breaking free from financial colonialism, and the new currency rate is the key that unlocks that golden cage. The deletion of the zeros from the currency isn't just a technical change to make counting easier. It is a symbolic and practical reset, a burning of the old, inflated currency that represented decades of despair, and a bold declaration of a new era of stability and strength. Every piece of legislation, every meeting with the International Monetary Fund, every move towards joining the World Trade Organization is not a separate news item. It is a single, deliberate step in a meticulously choreographed dance towards a specific date, a specific moment when the curtains will be pulled back, and the world will see Iraq not for what it was, but for what it has always been destined to become. An economic titan. Frank26 is essentially connecting these dots into a coherent, terrifyingly logical image. And the image he is painting shows a finish line that is no longer a distant mirage on the horizon, but a tangible reality we are approaching at an accelerating speed. This is why you need to pay attention right now, because the information vacuum created by the mainstream media is being filled with noise and deliberate misinformation designed to create doubt and shake out the weak hands before the real show begins. Now, let's address the elephant in the room that every single one of you is thinking about. If this is so inevitable, if the data is so compelling, then why has it not happened yet? This is the critical twist that separates the informed investor from the hopeful speculator, because the delay is not a sign of failure. It is the most calculated part of the entire strategy. A deliberate pressure cooker approach where the Central Bank of Iraq, under guidance from international financial architects, is allowing every single condition to mature to absolute perfection before flipping the switch, ensuring that when the revaluation occurs, it is not a flash in the pan, but a permanent, unshakable new reality. The common narrative you see on social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook is one of impatience and frustration, with countless posts asking when, but completely missing the far more important question of why now. The why now is found in the granular details of Iraq's financial reconciliation with the international community, specifically the final closing of the chapters with the WTO and the successful conclusion of the article before consultations with the IMF, which are not mere formalities, but the final exams for a nation's financial integrity and transparency. Passing these exams unlocks a new tier of global credit and investment, but it also mandates a stable and transparent exchange rate, creating a non-negotiable deadline for the RV that external bodies are now enforcing. This is the external pressure that so many miss. Furthermore, analyzing the chatter on investment forums and dedicated dinar groups reveals a fascinating psychological battle underway. The prolonged wait is systematically weeding out the short-term gamblers and leaving behind a core of long-term holders who are far less likely to cause a destabilizing panic sell when the rate is finally announced. The central bank is not just building a financial foundation. It is conditioning the market itself, creating a holder base with diamond hands that will provide stability from day one. This is a masterclass in behavioral economics playing out in real time. The other crucial piece of this puzzle, one that Frank26 and other insiders are hinting at with increasing clarity, is the synchronized launch of a new digital currency alongside the revalued physical notes, a one-two punch designed to catapult Iraq into the future of finance, while simultaneously solidifying its past. Imagine the scene. On one day, the world wakes up to a new, powerful Iraqi dinar exchange rate, and simultaneously, the entire population gains access to a digital wallet infrastructure that bypasses decades of outdated banking limitations, instantly bringing millions of unbanked citizens into the formal economy and creating a tsunami of internal economic activity that will further prop up the currency's value. This isn't just a monetary change, it's a digital revolution. The massive project to install new ATMs and banking terminals across the country isn't just about convenience. It is the hardware rollout for this new financial operating system. A system that requires the old, inflated currency to be obsolete to function correctly. The sudden, intense focus on the HCL or the hydrocarbon law is not a separate issue. It is the fuel for this new engine, as a finalized law will guarantee a predictable, massive flow of oil revenue directly into the government's coffers at this new, higher value, paying for reconstruction and social programs without the need to print more money, thus preventing inflation and locking in the gains. Every protest, every political delay, every piece of legislation that seems like a setback is, in this grander view, merely the final turbulent negotiation of how the immense wealth from this new rate will be distributed among the regions and the people, a necessary and painful process that must be resolved before the button can be pressed. The international banking system, particularly the correspondents in New York and Europe, are not blocking this. They are actively preparing for it, setting up their own internal protocols to handle the surge of transactions and wealth transfers, which is why we see sporadic, unconfirmed reports of certain foreign banks suddenly and quietly updating their systems to list the IQD. They see the same finish line we do, but from the inside. So when you feel that doubt creeping in, when you see another week pass without an announcement, understand that you are witnessing the most delicate and complex part of the entire operation. The alignment of the stars, where domestic politics, international law, internal infrastructure, and global finance must all click into perfect sync for a single, world-changing moment. The countdown isn't stalled. The clock is just being wound to a precision we can barely comprehend. So, where does this leave you, the investor who has navigated this labyrinth of information, patience, and calculated risk? It leaves you standing at the precipice of what could be the most defining financial event of our generation, armed not with blind hope, but with a clear-eyed understanding of the mechanics at play. And the final most critical twist in this entire saga is not about Iraq or the dinar itself, but about you and the psychological fortitude required to see this through to its inevitable conclusion. The storm of misinformation is about to reach its peak, designed with one single purpose: to make you doubt your own research, to question the logical framework we've built, and to separate you from your investment at the very last possible moment before the reward. You will see coordinated attacks in the comment sections, with so-called experts suddenly emerging to declare the entire RV a hoax, citing the very delays that are proof of the meticulous planning underway. You will see mainstream financial outlets, the same ones silent now, finally run stories about the dinar, but they will frame it as a dangerous scam or a forgotten relic. Articles strategically placed to trigger a wave of fear-based selling from those who lack the deeper context you now possess. This is the final test. The economic data, the political progress, the financial reforms, they are all ready. The only variable left is the collective resolve of the global dinar community. Frank26's revelations have given us the blueprint, but we must provide the unwavering belief. Think about the sheer scale of the wealth transfer that a whole number revaluation represents. It challenges the very foundation of the current global financial order. And there are entrenched powers that have a vested interest in maintaining the status quo for as long as humanly possible. Their last weapon is not an economic one. It is a psychological war waged against your mind. Your defense is your knowledge. Remember, every major wealth creation event in history, from the dot-com boom to the rise of cryptocurrency, was preceded by a period of maximum doubt, a point where the majority threw in the towel, only to watch in disbelief as the few who held on reaped life-altering rewards. The coming days and weeks will demand that you become your own central bank, that you tune out the noise and focus solely on the signal. The confirmed actions of the Central Bank of Iraq, the official statements from the IMF, and the tangible progress on the ground, not the hysterical voices in the echo chambers of social media. This is your call to action, and it is a dual one. First, you must solidify your position with unshakable conviction, ensuring your documents are in order, and your plan for the post-RV world is not just a dream, but a detailed strategy. Second, and just as importantly, you must become a beacon of calm and reasoned analysis within your own circles. Share this knowledge, break down the complexities for others, and help build a community of educated, resilient investors who cannot be manipulated by last-minute fear campaigns. The information war is won one mind at a time. Your engagement is your power. Therefore, I need you to do something right now. If this analysis has solidified your understanding and given you a clearer path forward, then you need to be part of this ongoing conversation. Hit the like button on this video because it tells the algorithm that this is the quality, in-depth content that matters, pushing it to others who need to hear this message. Subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell, because when the announcement breaks, you will not hear about it from a mainstream news source first. You will hear it here, in a live stream or urgent update, where we can break down the official news without the propaganda and panic. And most crucially, take this discussion into the comments below. I want to know your thoughts. What part of this timeline resonates most with your own research? How are you preparing for the final chapter? Your shared experiences create a collective intelligence that is far stronger than any single source. The curtain is about to rise. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay ready. The wait is not a punishment. It is the final preparation for a new reality.